take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Is this the real life? Is this just fantasy?
I'm a human being, god damn it! My life has value! It's time to ask yourself what you believe.
Mass murder, torture, perjury, embezzlement, fraud, deception, treason. These are just a few of your many crimes against humanity. You will not win this war, for you are fighting the very essence of humanity.
Hello, welcome to Truth to Talk. I'm Virstyne Henry.
And I'm April Bowden.
Alright, so today we're going to be talking about technology, and first segment, we're going to be doing things a little bit differently today, but first segment we're going to be talking to Liam Sheff, and our friend and author of Official Stories. And also second segment, we're going to be talking to Jordan Eske, online entrepreneur, contract law researcher, and blogger who has a really good blog talking about chakras, and he has a lot of videos on like David Icke and some other things. I thought it was very interesting, had a lot of interesting insight into things, and I wanted to bring him in today to talk because we wanted to hash out some stuff about technology. So how do you feel about technology, April?
I have a love-hate relationship with technology. I think that since the beginning of man, we have always had a love-hate relationship with technology because if you think about one of our first, inventions was the invention of fire or how to make fire. I guess we didn't invent fire, but we learned how to make it. And so it's got both a blessing and a curse, doesn't it? I mean, it's a blessing because you can warm yourself up, you can light yourself at night, and you can, heat up your food. And I mean, that was one of the first things that they figured out how to use it for was because you would, hunt an antelope or whatever they would hunt, and then it would go rancid and they would get sick. But then once they learned that they could cook it, then it would kill those bacteria, and then they could eat it and still eat and survive without getting sick. So it was a great invention in that way, but then at the same time, people used it to hurt others, and it got, and mistakes would happen and things would get set on fire. So there's always, a pro and a con to technology. Every time, no matter what it is, it always seems like there's something good and bad.
But not to like put a damper in your analysis, but is fire considered technology?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say fire is considered technology, but I'm saying it was sort of something that I guess one of the early sort of inventions of man. But it's not an invention, but it was one of the early things that man learned how to make. And so I would say, it could be considered in that realm.
In a sense, maybe, yeah, something it's like a force that's very contributive, but also very detrimental at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. So right. So you may not consider it to be technology because it is a natural, organic, occurring thing, but our ability to figure out how to make it was,
I guess,
technological advancement. I would say because it was.
Okay, got you. Because same thing too, like electricity, like we didn't invent electricity, but we figured out how to harness it and to use it to our purpose, and that can either be, you can either be responsible with it or irresponsible with it, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was trying to get at, and I think it's a very common thing for us to feel both negative and positive feelings towards that because, like, if you take the Internet, for example, I mean, we talk all the time about how it's a blessing that we have been able to find out all this information that's so accessible to us now. You can find almost anything on the Internet nowadays, anything you're curious about, you can look up and find information on it. And but at the same time, I mean, it's not without a price. We bring this up once in a while, and we can't really get into it too much because it deserves an entire show, but the whole EMF, dirty electricity thing is a huge problem to our health. I mean,
also the environment. I don't know, to the animals, the bees, bats, that people relate this to too. They're dying.
Yeah.
Because of it.
Right. Yeah, so there's definitely a dark side to all of this. It's not that we're just getting all this cool stuff and we have all these neat gadgets and that we're just going to live forever. I mean,
there's no price to pay for it too, and the stuff that makes that goes into making computers and all these electronic devices are harnessed from different parts of the world. Some wars may be involved. I don't know. I haven't done that. I haven't gone into to research that deeply about exactly what makes up each electronic component, electronic device that we have. But I know that there are crystals and minerals involved, supposedly, that have to be taken and excavated from countries, third world countries or countries that aren't first world, and
right.
What effect does it have on those people? Their ecological system.
Yeah. Well, there was this, I forget what the place was called, but where in China, where most of the, where a lot of this technology is made, or this electronical technology that we're talking about, there's, I guess it's a factory where they make the iPads, all the stuff for Mac, and they had to, because the way that they basically had these people in slave-like conditions, they could live in these places, and they were making like pennies, per hour, and they weren't allowed to socialize with each other. It was essentially a slave factory, and they were having so many people commit suicide. They had to put
that was Taiwan.
That was in Taiwan. I thought that was in
maybe it was
China.
in China too, but I know that there was an incident in Taiwan that they actually installed suicide nets over.
Yeah, exactly.
Because people were just jumping out of the windows and killing themselves. I don't know if it's the conditions or the chemicals or what that's causing them to do that. I mean, I don't know what to do. I think we're all kind of slaves in a sense, because in order to play this game, to survive in the matrix, we have to use technology.
Right.
Even if you don't have a computer or a television, even if you ride a bicycle, I mean, to live off the grid or become homeless, if you don't play the game, those are the only two options. And how do you do that without being antisocial, without losing your family and your friends, without losing your job, without being able to provide for yourself, It's a catch-22 situation.
Well, I mean, once you're in the matrix, it's really, really hard to get completely out of it. Yeah. And then, and we're all in it, so we're all, hooked up to the machine. So how do we completely get out of it? And in a sense, you do have to use their own technology against them, and that's one of the things about the whole spying network and the whole they're using it to spy on us, but we in turn are using it to spy on them. Yeah. So it's kind of like it's a two-way thing, and that's why internet freedom is important, and having the web to be free and accessible is important, because that levels the playing field somewhat, because the information is accessible to us, and we can find out what's going on faster, and we can find more information faster than ever before. So we kind of do need it, but then at the same time, it is causing harm to our health. There are a lot of health issues. There's a lot of, people get disassociated. I remember the Joy Camp video, the Internet Kill Switch. Did you ever get a chance to see that?
Yes.
Yeah. I thought that was really good, and I kind of, that sort of hit close to home. I recognized that a lot, about how they were basically putting out the point of how we're all so addicted to all these devices, and we think like we wouldn't know what to do with ourselves but what if we actually were given the option, and we weren't given the option, and we had to go outside and actually be people again and interact and talk to one another. We'd be forced to do it because we wouldn't have the internet to do it for us. And so, it's really interesting perspective, and I kind of thought that I related to that really well, because I often feel that way myself about the whole social networking thing. Is on one hand, I'm really grateful that I got to meet a lot of really interesting people and put myself out there, and on the other hand, it can be very addicting, and it can kind of pull you away from your real life.
Yeah.
So it's a catch-22, just like everything, like you said, electricity, fire, anything is that we've created can also be to our own detriment. So these are the lessons we have to learn.
So I think that too we have to realize that this technology, it's neutral, but we have a responsibility in handling it and deciding what we want to do with it. It's like you're taking part of it when you're using this stuff, and for people that are paranoid about, I know people that are paranoid about Facebook because basically, I mean, Facebook can be used to, it's basically categorizing your psychologically profiling you, and physically, you're not only psychologically, socially and psychologically, I guess what I'm trying to say, profiling. So by the things that you post, by posting, certain pictures, certain articles, it can determine like your personality, the things that you like.
Yeah.
The people, like it's keeping in contact with the people that you're in touch with, that you keep in touch with,
right.
The organizations that you belong to. It's scary on one hand. I can see where that would be terrifying, but on the other hand, because of that, I've also come in contact with people that I wouldn't have been able to had it not be for Facebook. You know, and we are voluntarily putting this information up, on Facebook. So,
yeah,
I mean, you just have to be aware because at the same time, they can use it to spy on you, and at the same time, we're also using it to connect with people. So we think about, like April said, they're spying on us, but we're also spying on them, and that's what scares the hell out of them. That's why people have been getting censored for putting up, pictures of their children marching against Monsanto, as opposed to people that are posting up pornographic pictures. Not that I'm saying that that's bad and they shouldn't be. I mean, they should be censored. I think they should be able to post whatever they want. But at the same time, if the people that are really interested in censoring and making Facebook a very family-friendly place, it seems like they would go after people that were into stuff like that. As opposed to people putting smiling pictures of their faces with their children against Monsanto. So that just goes to show you, though, how scared the system is and how intimidated there is. We're in the matrix, but we can also fight back. We don't have to be a slave to it. So we just have to realize what we're doing, how we're gonna use this power, because it's power, but it's also power that we can take back.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, and I agree. I mean, I don't know. I sometimes I really hate technology, though, even though I do understand what you're saying, and I kind of, I feel it. But at the same time, I sort of feel like it's taking something away from our humanity a little bit as well.
I think so. Yeah.
And it's just because that's I think the point that the Joy Camp video was trying to make. They were doing it in a funny way, as they always do, but it was very profound in that they had a lot of insight in that, and I really liked that. It resonated with me because I think there was a lot of heart in that video. They even though they were being funny about it, it's sort of because I do think it's you think about what happens to them in the video. You guys, if you haven't seen this, you can check it out. Is that when the internet goes down, at first they're kind of like in a state of panic and don't know what to do, and then they go to sleep and wake up, and when they walk outside, it's like they've been transformed into the 1960s. And everybody's a hippie, and they go back to like peace and love in the park, and everybody's
blowing bubbles and stuff,
blowing bubbles and eating fruit on the garden and feeding each other, and there's this whole like vibe of love and free love and this openness. And then as soon as the internet comes back on, everybody kind of just goes and disperses back into their own little hubble. And I think that that's not very far off from the truth, because I've seen a lot of that true. People will be hanging out with each other, and they're all on their devices, and they're not. Oh
my God, you're right. That's so annoying. I go out with friends, and they're just like texting and blah blah blah. And I'm actually making more of an effort to get away from that. I'm only making an effort. I'm trying not to be on Facebook as much.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that draws me in.
Right.
And I'm like, I could be outside, like, riding a bike or swimming. It's summer out. The weather's nice. I could be outside breathing air, but I'm not. I'm on Facebook, like, posting pictures, and looking at art, which I love art and pictures. Mm-hmm. But still, it's like, I feel like, you're right, it is taking a bit of our humanity from us, if we let it.
Right.
I think if we recognize that that's what's going on, we don't have to be a slave to it.
Right.
But there's some people that and some people don't like people. Some people, this is good for people that are misanthropes or antisocial people, I guess.
Right.
It's like a dream come true for them. But for me, personally, you're right. It is taking a bit of our humanity, or it can.
Yeah, it's right. Exactly. If we allow it to, and we do, and we all do sometimes. And that's one of the things that was, again, I'm like raving about this video, but that's one of the things they show you is how it's not just, some people, it's all of us. We all kind of do it and go back into it, even though we may recognize that it's useless or stupid that you care about, like, checking your status or whatever. You still, there's still sort of addictiveness to it, and I don't know. And then again, of course, there's the health aspect of it. Is that how good are these things for us, and how much is it disturbing our systems, and how it's interfering with our frequencies, and how the radiation and all of these things that are coming off of it. So there's a lot in technology. I mean, as technology becomes more and more complex, the more risks and things are being attributed to it, because anything with an electrical charge, an electrical current has dirty electricity, has some form of what's called electrosmog. But the more technologically advanced, the more so that comes off of it. So the Wi-Fi stuff, the wireless is worse than the stuff that's wired. And then you have the like the new light bulbs. The light bulbs are worse than the old light bulbs, okay? Yeah. Because they're supposed to last longer, but they actually emit more dirty electricity. So it's funny, you go back to candles before light, where candles aren't as bright, don't really maybe spread as much, and you need more of them to be able to light up places, but they're not sending off, like, they're not harmful, they're not sending off electrosmog. But at the same time, if you're irresponsible with them, then you can set a fire, Exactly, yeah. I mean, if you get an oil lamp, like I thought about doing that, thought about getting an oil lamp, and then I realized I have 2 kids, and I was like, that's probably insane, because if they knocked it over, I'd set the whole house on fire. But, if you got one of those like old-fashioned oil lamps, and they're nice, they burn really brightly, but they use no electricity. So, that's why I thought in an effort to try and reduce my electricity. But I got some of those like they're Himalayan salt candles holders. They're really nice. And those actually can help purify your air. Oh, really? Yeah. They help ionize the air. They're made out of Himalayan salt, and you can get lamps, but I prefer the candles just because I want less electricity, and so those are kind of nice. Just to say, I got a couple of those and I like them. You can put them around the house. They bring in good chi because they're natural minerals, and Himalayan salt is a source of 84 different types of minerals. And so once you burn it and you releasing that into the air, it actually helps purify it. So just like plants do. That's really cool. I'm gonna have to check that out. That's interesting. Wow. I know. I really like my new Himalayan salt lamps. They're candle holders. I specifically did that instead. And they're cheaper too if you get candle holders, but you probably won't use it as much because it's not as bright, but they're just nice to have. So I try to reduce my electricity use by buying things like candles and doing things, and turning things off and unplugging things when they're not in use. So that's one thing I would say, is that use it responsibly. It's also good, it's just going to cost you a lot of money too if you're just like paying your electric bill all the time. So use it responsibly. Using it responsibly is just a win-win-win all around. So I don't use lights in the daytime at all. Me neither. Yeah. So, I don't either. I don't. So that helps a lot. Don't turn any lamps on. Just open up the windows and let the sun shine in. But it's really interesting. This whole thing about technology. I went back the other night, and I listened to. Have you ever heard that talk with Julian Huxley? No, it was Aldous Huxley. They wrote Brave New World. Yeah, I don't know if I'm saying it. I don't remember. It was what the talk he gave or interview that Mike Wallace interviewed him. You can you can go on YouTube. You can look up Aldous. I don't know if I'm saying it. It's Aldous. Aldous Huxley. Yeah, you're saying interview with Mike Wallace, and he was talking about, because I wanted to go back and revisit that interview, because I remember a long time I saw a while ago, maybe a couple of years ago,
when I was on Taiwan, and I often wondered if he was if he was trying to warn us or if he was bragging. I couldn't really tell if he was trying to warn us about like what he wrote about. And I'm still kind of on the fence. I still kind of think that he was trying to warn us. But he talks about technology and how it could be enslaving, and how that there are people who have interest to do that with technology. Right. And that's what he based his book off of, in a nutshell. I mean, he says a little bit more than that. He also talks about pharmaceuticals and how people think that's kind of a form of technology too. They think that we've evolved by taking medicines and vaccines and stuff, right? They're like, oh, we're not as sick as we used to be, or oh, we're not, people aren't dying of polio like they used to. But in the fact, that's a fucking lie. We know that. Right. But, exactly. But it's been sold to us that this is our evolution, that we're evolving, and this is, the way that technology is taking us, is making us into better people. But in a lot of ways, I would say that we're devolving, too. Because going back to you saying that the concept of technology, you're saying that, it makes us in some ways more dependent on things that we have, lost our ability to know how to like farm and how to grow, like necessary things like farming and how to drill for water. I mean, those are just two basic things that we need to know, because we need to know, we need to eat, we need to drink water. Those two basic things. If we don't have those, we're messed up. I mean, it's so funny. I hear Alex Jones and they talk, sometimes, and he's talking about buy gold. I'm like, fool, I'm buying seeds. Yeah, because what is the fact? Nobody's going to be trying to eat that bar of gold. I'm trying to eat some potatoes, some apples, and shit. Like that's really what's gonna matter. And a lot of children have no idea where, since I've been getting into raw food and trying to eat healthier, I have learned more about food. We're not taught this in school. We're not taught where food comes from or how it grows or what's in season and things like that. But we're just relying upon, we just go to the store and get it. We don't even have to pick it off a tree. We just buy it. We give people paper in exchange for this, all this labor that is, put into, and this work that's put into getting the food to us. We're not even aware of that. And it's all because of technology. Liam is going to probably go a little bit more into that, because he's going to talk about oil and how it's contributed to, how the discovery of oil has contributed to technology. So.
Yeah, and how it's essentially, as you're saying, how we don't know how to grow food, and food just comes from trucks all over the world nowadays, which is brought to you by oil. Oil is used in every form of transportation that they come by, boat or train, or not train, sorry, but plane or car.
Train, I would say, yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
They might use, train is coal, right? So
no, they transport some food by train.
No, but I'm saying they don't use oil though.
Got you.
To run a train, right? It's burning coal. So anyway, but that's what my point was, is that oil is responsible for why we can get bananas from Ecuador,
Gotcha.
And things like that. It's very unusual to know how these types of things grow and actually know how things come out of the earth and all of that. So that's something, as a parent, I think that, everybody should be teaching their kids on some level how to take care of plants and how to grow from seeds. It's what we're going to be doing that this summer. Me and my kids will be planting some seeds and making some herbs. And you can do little things like herbs and stuff. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to make like a big cornfield or anything, but just, just some little things and learning how to do that and learning that it's actually nice, it's actually fun and enjoyable. So I think that's something we've forgotten and we've lost, is it's actually nice to make things for yourself.
Yeah. And
to do things for yourself,
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. It's still a work in progress. We'll see how this whole thing shakes out.
Yeah, but that's great. So we're going to take a short break?
Yeah, we're going to take a short break, and then you, once again, I won't be able to stay because I have an appointment with Aiden. But
damn you, April Bowden.
I know. I know, damn me to hell. But so you're going to be talking to Liam in the first segment. Is going to come on and talk about oil, and then you're also going to be talking to, after that, in the next segment, you're going to be talking to Jordan Esky and about his things that are on his website, localmarket.us. Really cool, interesting things, and his take on technology as well. So please stay tuned. Virstyne will be back. You'll be having Liam on first, I believe, right?
Yes.
And then Jordan Esky after that. So please stay tuned because we're going to have those fellows on. And, we'll talk to you soon.
I'll be back.
I disagree. This is not the champagne of beers.
It's a slogan. It's not just
champagne.
Beer. I know.
Champagne has to be from the Champagne part of France. That's why it's called champagne. Everything else is just sparkling wine.
It's a marketing.
No.
It's a marketing.
Look it up.
That's beer.
Whatever.
Do you want me to look it up?
Yeah,
Google
please.
it? Okay,
Google it.
I'll Google it.
Just for me.
I got it.
Just so I can feel good.
Sure. They're going to ask.com?
Yes.
Okay.
Ask Jeeves. We'll have it.
The internet's out.
What?
It's not working.
No,
it's not working. There's no connection.
No, it's not Netgear.
No, it says no wireless connections available.
Do you want me to reset the router? I can reset the router.
Yeah, can you check that?
Yeah, let me just Okay, router's
You reset it?
It's reset.
You wait 45 seconds?
I waited for the light to blink 3 times and then stay long.
Is the orange light on?
Okay.
Orange light to go.
Orange light to go.
3 lights below it are blinking.
2 lights are blinking. 1 is red.
I don't know. I've never seen a red light when the internet was working. I'm just fine with that. I can do without email for 10 minutes out of my day. But I do like having my friend here to talk to.
All right, let's hang out.
And hang out.
Let's hang out.
I'm going through some tough times.
Let's hang out.
Thanks.
Okay. Did you see that Facebook picture I posted?
Everything I'm looking at seems crazy. The newspaper, the television, nothing's right. Nothing's telling me what's true. It's like I fell into a bucket of cream and kicked my legs until I became a mouse. What's that about? I'm a conspiracy realist, not a conspiracy theorist. I want a t-shirt that represents me. What? There's one that's available? Go to shop.truthertease.com, says the voice in my head. Shop.truthertease.com. It's not crazy. I'm not afraid to go on the internet and go to shop.truthertease.com. I'm not scared. I taken out bowling balls that look like you. That's what I said. Straighten out. Get your conspiracy realist t-shirt. Don't make me come over there. You look good. You look good.
All right, now we are back. We have author of Official Stories, Liam Sheff. Liam, I hear you're working on a new book. What are you working on?
Well, Virstyne, let me tell you. I'm working on my second book. I'm finally happy with the outline and the overarching theme of the book, which I will not give away right now, but which has to do with a very particular way of being in delusion and illusion and denial that all human beings have. I live in America, so I see our oil-dependent / addicted / unconscious nation, our hillbilly Jesus was a white man nation, Jesus was a NASCAR driver nation. I see us, of course, more clearly than most other places because I'm from here. But I've traveled a bit. But the book will, if Official Stories was a corrective textbook to all the lies we were taught in school, the book I'm writing is now. This is what's happening. I'm not going to tell you all the answers. I'm going to help you ask the right questions. Nobody's got all the answers, so I'm just going to help put in your mind what I think are the right questions after due consideration, and I'm going to put them there in a hopefully entertaining way so that you can talk with people about it, because people are so afraid. People are in active denial right now. Active denial about
what does that mean? What is that? Break it down.
Oh, well,
active denial.
you know, denial is a psychological position in which one refuses to accept something that is true. or something one feels or something that is happening. And we are in a very active position of our denial. In the denial, the thing that's happening that we don't want to deal with is the end of the oil age, the end of the era of cheap, easily available, plentiful crude oil. The thing that the entire Western project has been built upon is not going to be there for much longer in its previous form. It'll be there in small amounts. It'll be there for emergencies. It'll be there for very, 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 very wealthy people. But the rest of us, that's the vast majority of humanity, will be returning to a way of life that's been recently lived in China and India, but has not been lived by the majority of people in the Western world for 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120 years. So we're going to take a huge leap back. It'll probably take 20 to 50 years, depending on where you are, for that to happen. Some places it'll just crash immediately. Some places will toddle along. And a lot is going to depend on locality, whether, strangely, people in sort of ridiculously rural Southern California who live in the windy gaps between the mountains might have electricity. God knows they won't have water, but they'll have electricity because there are windmill farms built there. So the book is about this position of denial and how to get Americans past it. And so I'm going to use a sort of fanciful way of getting into it. The storytelling species we are, I'm just going to try to help us understand by talking about the way that we talk about things, and everything to us is a myth. And we were going to talk about technology.
Yeah.
And we live in an ongoing myth that technology, number one, that technology is the same thing as energy. We don't understand that because we've been able to be technically innovative, and I mean the engineers at the trade schools have been able to be technologically innovative, people think that means we could somehow be technologically innovative enough to create energy.
Yeah, I think people miss that point. They think technology is energy, and it's not. They get the two collapse very often. So that's a good point.
Right. Well, we made an iPad, we made a Wii, we made a car, therefore we can make an oil substitute. No. The oil gave us the energy to make the iPad, the Wii, and the car. Without the oil...
Yeah.
And so that's what we have to talk about. And that's just, chapter one, because I'm not going to spend a book belaboring the fact that by all reasonable estimates, this period of human civilization is going away. We've not innovated anything in the last 100 years, 50 years, 40, 30, 20 years that's a replacement for this bountiful oil crop that we've drawn out of Texas and the Middle East and the Caspian Sea, and Mexico, Venezuela, and the North Sea, a couple, places around the world. There's no replacement for it. Solar, wind, very expensive to build. We should be building them. But, where is wind good? Wind is good where it's windy, and it happens to be windy in the sparsely populated plain states. Electricity lives locally. It lives and dies locally. So you really have to use it where you produce it. Otherwise, it's not even worth talking about. We don't know that. We don't talk about that. It's just we've had so much energy. We've had so many fossil fuels to burn. The tar sands are a mining operation with it's sort of, if oil gave us 100%, this might give us 3%. In terms of energy return. So it's not really worth talking about. Again, it'll probably be a local thing that people use it in small doses to light lamps or to heat furnaces, to heat houses. And then you've got the oil, the shale gas so-called revolution, which is fracking. And you've got this pervasive mental illness running around the internet and the newsrooms, or at least the publicity rooms, that by drilling holes through water tables and leaching terribly toxic compounds into the water, we've got they'll tell you that you have 100 years worth of natural gas. Well, first they don't tell you that 100 years would be immediately used for every sector, which would immediately round it down to about 20 if you used it to replace oil. What they also don't tell you is that they're lying. They don't have 100 years. In terms of proven reserves, stuff that they know they have, maybe they have somewhere between 8 and maybe 7, maybe 8 years, maybe 11. Hard to tell, but the number that they're floating around is a lie based on what they hope they have, on what they hope the ground yields, not what they're, it's sort of like if you remember statistics, which is horrifying, but if you remember statistics, you have this thing called a confidence interval. So I can make a 5%, I'll make a bet. I'm 5% confident. I have in a 5% confidence interval that aliens will land and give us I'm not even 1%. I'm just going to give it 1. I'm 1% confident that aliens are going to land and give us Tesla technology and we'll have free energy forever. Are you saying, well, you make a bet on that? Well, I'm 1% confident, so I'll make a $1 bet. All right, so I'm 95% confident that everybody who's reporting that oil is dwindling in their wells is telling the truth. So you see, they made a 5% confidence bet that they'd have 100 years of gas from these things, and they know it, and they put it out in public as the truth. But every bit of historical drilling has always said the same thing. Never bet on the 5%. It's always the 95% bet. And the 95% bet is maybe 7 years, and you don't know how many water tables you're going to destroy. Maybe 8.
Well, yeah, but we need water more than we need oil, because technically we can survive without oil, but we can't survive without water. And in our addiction to get oil, we're messing up our water.
I do, but haters gonna hate. There are people who are just gonna argue this stuff out on the web, and they'll say, oh well, this, you don't trust this person. They'll attack people who are telling, instead of looking at the data or looking at the arguments, they'll say, well, you can't trust this person because they received money from, all right, who cares? Is it the truth or isn't it the truth? And the problem with our country is, of course, the same thing that's a problem in Europe or around the world now, which is we believe that the idea that markets somehow equal value or truth. So if the market wants you to eat more jelly beans, if more people are buying jelly beans, then jelly beans are considered good. Then getting sugar through some god-awful sort of slave relationship with tropical countries is considered good. So if driving cars is considered something people want to do, then driving cars is good, and the market says it's good, therefore getting gas from dictatorships or oil from dictatorships in invading countries is good. They'll go one further, though. I mean, if that sounds as morally ambiguous or downtrodden as you can get, they'll go one further, and they'll say, not only is it good what the market wants, but the demand for something will actually create the product itself, which is mental insanity, which is mental illness. They say that if you want a 10-foot Reese's peanut butter cup, all you have to do is want it enough and it will appear. If you want an infinite amount of fuel, well, we'll have more fuel soon because, we almost ran out of whale oil once. We almost hunted all the whales into extinction, but then we stopped. But why did we stop? Because of the discovery of petroleum, large coal reserves in petroleum. We've burnt through those in 150 years. Really, the last 50 has been pretty remarkable in terms of, building nations and building cities all over the world. It takes a lot of energy. So we are, I think we are winding our way down. I'll just say this. We're winding our way into essentially what's going to look like a Great Depression. But unlike the Great Depression of the 30s, we're not, we had World War II and oil reserves, oil discoveries that pulled America out of that. Otherwise, we never would have left it. Think about that for a second.
So do you, first of all, I want to ask about Tesla technology. So have you tried to find any evidence of Tesla technology? Or
I ask everybody who tells me, what about free energy from Tesla technology? I say, just send me the schematic. Really, show me anything that's plugged into this thing that draws electrons from the air and makes your life happy. Show me the flux capacitor. I'm all ears. I'm all eyes and ears. I really want to know.
So you haven't seen it personally, so until you see it, you're like, it's
not plugged in anywhere on Earth. This is an idea that people have. I consider this denial.
Okay.
All right, like when somebody dies and you say, no, they're not dead, they're not dead.
Yeah,
and some people get kind of crazy and they go, oh, so-and-so's not dead. Especially young children will say, no, they're just hiding. They're just hiding. They'll be back. This is a myth we're telling ourselves. We've had this energy source for all of our lives. I've been without electricity for short periods of time. But nobody ever said that would be it. And I'm not saying we're going to be without electricity in our lifetimes. I'm saying that oil, which is the interstate highway system, interstate trucking, a lot of international shipping. I mean, boats will still work, but the cost of that stuff will resemble the value and rarity of these international items will return to what it was in the 1800s when items from India were extremely rare. Items from China were extremely rare, unheard of.
Yeah.
And we'll return to that.
I was reading Eartha Kitt's autobiography years ago, and she was talking about like how bananas were like so exotic. I was like, wow, I never even thought about that. Like she was saying, bananas are expensive because I think it, they were very rare, and so when you're talking about like us running out of oil, people don't really realize that how much stuff is made of oil. I think when people think about that, they just think about gasoline, right, and gas cars, and they're like, oh, well, we have electric cars, or they're cars that can run on water, but they don't realize everything from like toothbrushes to plastics to the computers that are made, the cars that are made, anything that's imported is all because of oil.
Right. Yes, this communication that we're now participating in is all oil-based. The machines we're talking on were rendered in factories that use petroleum. The food that you ate today was brought to you on petroleum-powered fleets of trucks from thousands of miles away on average. And all of this goes away. The agricultural system, the John Deere International Agricultural acre planter, tractor, etc., multi-acre irrigation systems are all run on oil. The machines are machined by oil-running machines, and the water is, of course, run by electrical pumps, which is either made of, the electricity is either formed generally from coal. And I can hear the people, oh, we have centuries of coal. Well, we have centuries of coal if we only use it to produce low levels of electricity. But we don't run the world on coal. We run it on oil. Yeah. So if we go back to if we just accept that we have coal and we can make electricity for hundreds of years at a low level, we can do it. You also have to remember that these coal plants and the infrastructure to ship the electricity to deliver it is all based on oil.
Yeah.
We don't
even with the hemp. I've heard people talk about hemp, but they're like, well, the machines that you use to process the hemp to make the hemp into oil run on oil.
They do. So a hemp economy does not look like an oil economy. It looks like a small, rather tame, local fiber weaver oil pressing economy, and the pressed oil is used for nutrition, for medicine, and for heat. Most important thing, food, shelter, hot and cold, keeping the temperature off your back so that you don't die in extreme weather. We may find that places that we've settled or become uninhabitable. Most of the Southwest is no longer inhabitable unless you live like an Anasazi Indian who went extinct anyway, more or less. So, we're not going to be the first human society to face extreme downturn and probably a great reduction in numbers over the next 50 years. I'm willing to put sort of the beginning of I think we're in the beginning of the collapse. I think that I'm willing to plot a point about, 7 to 10 years in the future where a majority of people understand that there are such significant problems that you'll hear people clamoring for the government to release its free energy, or you'll see political demagoguery in the middle of the country, and you'll see a lot of people reverting to rather unappetizing forms of religion. We were talking about the tribalism, before.
Or how about people forming communities? Because in a lot of ways, we're getting back on the subject of technology. Do you believe that maybe we've also devolved because we're becoming more, in a way too, because the technology has made us more dependent and less independent, and in some ways it's connected us, but in a lot of ways it's disconnected us, because it's not allowing us to talk and sit down and really be, in each other's presence, because we have smartphones and other things to keep us distracted. And we're not conscious of the food that we're getting. We go to the grocery store. We're not having to grow our own food or make our own, basically just grow our own food. So do you see, from your point of view too, do you see that there will be positive communities forming as a result of this as well? Because people will realize that they need to step up and start becoming responsible for their well-being?
Well, I'm just writing a few notes as you say that. So in the era before oil, let's see, exploration, in the era before oil, we had the ancient civilizations of the Near East, Babylon, Sumer, Ur, etc. We had the Greece, which collapsed, ancient Greece, which collapsed in a series of civil wars between Sparta and Athens. We had the Roman Empire, which reached into all of Europe and subjugated the peoples there, but did form a high civilization. We had Europe using the centers of learning that remained from the collapsed, broken Roman Empire to become, the different European states. That gave us the Inquisition. The Crusades happened a little bit before that. So we had the full-scale, slow-leaking invasion of the Middle East by many, 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 many Europeans. Following that, we had the Age of Exploration in which Europeans came to the Americas and killed everybody they could. So in terms of sitting down and having nice conversations, I'm sure that people had nice conversations during all of these. There are always poets and there are always philosophers. A lot of them were killed, but the minor ones probably weren't. What I'm trying to say is I try to avoid talking about utopias because history...
Well, I didn't say it was utopia. I just said, too, that there's probably going to be people that are going to look at it from that point of view, too.
Well, I hope so.
Maybe this is something that needs to happen in order for us to get our shit together, because what we're doing to get oil, starting wars, killing people, messing up the environment, I think we're just snowballing, and it's too big to just stop now, because nobody's going to stop what they're doing. It's going to take everybody to, stop using oil for us to make a huge impact.
We're not going to stop using oil.
Yeah, we're not, unless we have to.
We're not. We're going to demand there are going to be mass riots. There are going to be... Listen, it's going to be a Great Depression, and we've seen the beginning of austerity and protests in Europe where people don't have the things they're used to. Seen it in Greece and Southern Europe. You'll see it in Spain next, which is traditionally not the wealthiest of European. You'll see it in Portugal. When you see it in France, it's our time, because France is as modern a nation as any. But they make most of their electricity now from nuclear. They have one nuclear accident. A great deal of that beautiful country is no longer inhabitable. We're not looking at a pretty 50 years. My protest, I guess, is my protest vote, if I can lodge one, is against fracking and against nuclear energy, because the problems from fracking destroy water tables, and nuclear energy is a very, very, very dangerous way to boil water with such serious repercussions that it takes 250,000 years to outlive them. So, I gotta find a way to keep the book light, so I'm framing it in a different way. It's not just a straight news narrative. I'm not going to give it away right now, but I'm trying to use a framing device so that we can take it in as a story. And then if we take it in as a story, maybe we go, shoot, I better, because there's not a we. I'm not talking about a we. I'm not talking about saving everybody. I'd better, in my own life, you say to yourself, figure out where my community is going to be, where if I'm going to have children, where those children are going to grow up, because we're going to run out of we're not going to be in the place where we travel freely and easily anymore. So I better be I'm not talking about tomorrow, I'm not talking about next year, I'm saying, I'm looking at the fracking reports. I'm looking at the oil reports.
Yeah.
I think you'd be crazy to make a bet that civilization will look anything like today in 20 years.
Yeah.
I think 15 years it'll be substantially different, and I think in 7 you'll begin to hear the clarion call that just some things don't work anymore. So there you go, fun.
Well, no, I appreciate you stopping by. It's always good to hear from you. I can't wait for your book to come out. I really enjoyed Official Stories. And it's not only informative, it's really funny. It's very witty. It was an easy read for me, actually. So I think as long as you, you're honest, you're light. You can be very honest, but also very light at the same time, It won't be, you got to make them laugh a little bit, Who's that said that if you don't make people laugh, they'll kill you? If you tell them the truth? Something like, I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah,
Was it
my
Oscar
grandfather
Wilde?
said it to me. He said, make them laugh. Or they'll kill you. No, I can do that because I don't actually worry about saving humanity. See, if you get to be an activist and you imagine that you have the ability to save humanity, you become a terrible bore and a drag. I'm actually so just self-interested, I hope you do good things, but mostly I'm just trying to get out of the way of the falling rock. But along the way, I'm going to tell you this story, and hopefully it motivates some people to go, I better, some of this sounds right, and better start talking about it. So.
Yeah, open up a conversation, so.
Yeah. And
get people to be more conscious. It's a hard thing, though, but I mean, I don't believe that you don't care that much, because I think if you didn't, then you wouldn't be doing what you're doing, so.
Oh, the pay is so good.
Shut up.
Yeah. No, I do this for the money. I'm talking like $100 a month, maybe. I mean, this is outrageous money.
All right. Well, nice talking to you, Lee. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back after our commercial.
Hello. Thanks for having me on your radio. Even though we're not from a famous rock and roll band, if we were, even though we sound a little like we are, we'd definitely wear a Conspiracy Realist t-shirt, because they're gear, aren't they? Oh yeah, they're really gear. I want to write a song about them. Conspiracy Realist t-shirts at truthatease.com. I gotta think of the middle 8. Shop.truthatease.com. What does that mean? It's the internet. What's that? I don't know. It's a net. It's between things. Shop.truthatease.com. What's that? It's where you get Conspiracy Realist t-shirts. Oh, gear.
Jordan is an online entrepreneur, contract law researcher, and blogger. He's starting his online career with an e-commerce web store, and along the way learned many more technological and savvy skills. Please welcome to the show, Jordan Esky. Hi, Jordan.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Glad you could join us. So this is a hot topic and a hot issue for today, technology. And I just wanted to start because my friends and I will get together and we talk about, how technology has progressed up until now, even since the time that we were kids. So do you remember what it was like music, for example, right? Were you around when tapes were? Were you young?
Oh yeah, I remember with the tapes, and then how technology has really advanced with the television, and then the desktop and laptop, and then you can do all of that all on like a digital device.
Yeah, I know. It's all merged into one, right? Remember Apple computers? They were like big and clunky with the green screen.
Oh yeah. I remember playing those little video games on there too.
Oh my God! Oh, did you ever play Carmen Sandiego?
Oh my God! Yeah, I remember that.
that was like hot shit. That was like the best thing that we had, right, at the time. And now it's now the video games have progressed to, I don't even know, World of Warcraft, and I mean they're so graphic. It's like watching a movie. I'm sorry, go on.
And it's like Second Life, that's been around as well, and it's just very advanced, from where I guess we've seen it growing up.
Yeah. I mean, what is I would say that, we've advanced in a short amount of time, really, really fast. So what is your experience with life and the progression of technology, as far as you remember it?
Oh, wow. Well, one thing's for certain, being able to search for anything you want now without having to actually go to the library is like 100 times easier, and you don't have to go directory. Oh, there's no result for that, so let's go back, type something else. You remember that? Yahoo again?
Oh my God, yes. I remember, if you had to go to the library and you wanted to get like an old newspaper article that they didn't have in print, they had these machines, and they had the film. Did you ever, or am I like ancient? I feel like, did you remember this? You can put these like, you can get like the negatives, or they look like film negatives, and you put them on this machine, and then you can, they would actually transfer the magazines onto, I don't know what it's called. I can't think of the name. It was a kind of a projector. It was a screen projector.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I remember looking at one of these things in the library growing up. I never.
You're like, what's that? It probably had dust on it, right?
No, I used it once or twice. I don't remember what it's called either.
But you know what I'm talking about now, right? They don't have to do that anymore because because of the internet. So since we're on the internet, what are the pros and cons you think there are about the internet?
Well, since I've been on the internet since I was a youngster, I could definitely say that if you're in front of the computer all the time with no exercise or any type of a breakaway, it's going to lower your energy. I mean, but other than that, I think it's wonderful. It's a great and useful tool for all of us to utilize. With everything that we now know from back then and now, everything's connected, and so I don't think we should always be dependent on the technology 100% of the time.
Well, what do you think, why do you say that, though? Because it's so easy. Do you think that it's made our lives easier and less difficult?
Yeah, but there was a time where we were able to do far more communication and types of works, I guess, than relying on this tool to communicate with one another. I mean, I'm still learning that aspect, but I definitely know that with what I've learned up to this point, it certainly is true. And I think with where people are right now and where the world, I guess, is moving, being savvy and smart and understanding technology now will place you further ahead, but don't let it be there to dominate you, so to speak.
Yeah, I see what you mean. So I see too. What gets on my nerves is everybody's like attached to their phone,
right?
And their smartphone. You go places, you go to restaurants, you go out, you see people playing with their phones instead of like talking to each other, right? And you see people sitting, sitting in front of these computer screens and on Facebook more so than going out and talking with each other. So you feel like that's maybe like a negative effect of the internet or the technology, computer technology?
Yeah, it's a little bit of all of that, Like I said, when you're programmed, so to speak, to learn something, you're comfortable with it, and we as humans, or I don't even want to say that, but we as beings, when we get comfortable, we like it, and so we enjoy it, and then when we get outside of our comfort zone, it's a little bit awkward, so we go back to our cell phones, or our tablets, or our laptops, or whatever it is. So it's kind of like, I like to say you got to get in where you fit in and know where you're going and where you're at now. And then, learn it as much as you can with the technology, because that's why it's there, It's our servant, it's our tool, it's not the other way around.
What do you think about the NSA?
What do I think? Well, they're a corporation. I haven't done much dive into their technologies, but I mean, all I got to do is, I'm sure, Google it or go to the library or meditate about it. My thoughts is, I hope they know what they're getting themselves involved in. And I'm talking about the representatives that wake up and, go to those respective buildings.
Well, I mean, I guess I'm more so talking about, are you familiar with Edward Snowden and him coming out and saying that the NSA is actually using, compiling all of our information and using it to spy on people?
Well, it's to, yeah, I saw one of those videos, and he's really hitting it home for people, and you gotta look at where people have been with history, the Iron Age. Like I'm telling you, it's all connected, and with him opening, he's been knowing that. He's been knowing that for years. It's not like some shock. He probably.
Well, people like us aren't surprised. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah.
I'm sure he's probably went back and forth about should I say this? Should I not? Should I? You're not just some intelligent person who's just gonna come out with some shocking video that's gonna get you into some hot water without thinking about it. And if he's working for the NSA, you better believe they don't just hire dumbasses, or maybe they do. I don't know. But he didn't seem like, he did seem like he knew what he was saying, and I hope people wake up and realize what he's saying, because it affects each person, every single person who uses the Internet.
That's true. But there are those people that are like, well, if I didn't do anything wrong, if I'm not doing anything wrong, then what do I have to be worried about,
Well, you have to understand, what are you doing? Are you giving up your rights? Are you subjugating your person? Are you granting and conveying an interest in your person to a company or a corporation? Let me stop without, let me not rant and rave about that.
Well, you can, because I want people to talk about their opinions and their feelings on the show. So if you want to rant and rave, go on.
All right.
Go on.
It's always it's kind of like an up-down, back and forth, situation talking about these topics. I kind of forgot where we were. If you want to get us back on.
Oh, that's okay. We're just talking about the NSA and how people like us aren't surprised, but there are people that are, that are surprised by it. And you're talking about how we have to be aware of how we use the Internet and what rights we're giving up by using it, right?
Well, everybody's at a different place in their awakening, in their walk, in their life, and if they're hearing this message, it was meant for them. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
you started this talk show with your partners or whatever, and there's lots of people listening looking for guidance on how to navigate their lives, and the people that were supposed to be there, that were supposed to know this, they got deceived too, and so it's the blind leading the blind. But if you're hearing this message, just I would really do some deep research about these documents you keep hearing about who these people that oversee the NSA, what is this agenda, what is the G20, what would be the purpose of taking your data, and then you start researching 2045.com, and then you're like, oh, well, I had a vision and a dream about that. Those type of little things that people get in their lives are those are the small details you should inspect in your life, and then see if there's any validity to it, and see how that actually works with what you're doing online. I mean,
oh, definitely, yeah.
Because it's, hold on, well, it's not doing anything, whatever that means, bad or good, and you're still giving up your rights, well, then you're almost giving up your divinity and who you are and your power beyond the Internet.
Yeah.
And I think people have to find a balance. A little bit of exercise, a little bit of meditation, a little bit of business or technology, or maybe you're an offline person. You gotta have a certain balance, and you also have to know when you click a little checkbox, what are you doing? And if you do know what you're doing, well, then you know what you're doing, and you won't have to worry about anything. But if you don't know what you're doing, you should start researching it and realizing how to. What does the Bible say? So a thing is bound, so a thing is unbound. So if you get into something, you can get out of it, but don't pick your battles wisely, I guess.
So knowing this information, you're not like freaking out, because I know I've had a couple of friends that actually stopped using Facebook even before all this came out, because they were realizing that Facebook was compiling a lot of their information. People don't realize too, when they use Facebook, even we do it to each other. When we use Facebook, we're looking at Facebook if we're interested in somebody, if we're checking somebody out, you can go to their page, you can see their interests and their likes. You can kind of gather what type of person they are by what music they listen to or what pictures they post onto their wall.
Oh, well, it's way beyond that. Let me tell you.
Yeah, psychological.
Every single website that you go to, it's got a social code to it. You better believe if you're logged into Facebook or any other network, that's being collected too. You don't even have to be on their network for them to track what websites or what you're doing. You can be on a whole different website in America or in another country, and that website could be in another country. But if that website in that other country has a social media HTML code or something to that effect, like Facebook shared, you better believe that's being collected. Absolutely. Because yeah, go ahead. You're about to say something?
Oh, no, go on. Well, I was going to ask, though, so you know a little bit about how this works, how it works. You talk about the HTML codes, and do you know about, like, the algorithms and stuff and how that all links in?
Oh, nobody knows that, and the people who do, they're not going to say anything, but you can pretty much test and try everything, and, hey, if it works, well, there you go. Yeah.
Well, you're saying that they're using, like, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm saying you're saying that they're using codes to, like, link everything, right? So if I go to Amazon, I pick up I get a book, right? And then I buy that book, and then I like that book on Facebook or something. Then it also takes record of like the country or the city I'm in from where I'm doing it. And then it also recommends other books that I might that I might like, and then I get those books too. It's all collecting everything and categorizing my personality and my interests, basically.
Yeah, it's almost like they want to provide you what you say you want, at the same time limiting your scope of what's out there beyond what you already know. Specific programs that are being ran right now, but some of these programs, if you're the uninitiated to a certain degree, you might just see the same results, page after page after page, going to the same URL to do your searches. You might go to different engines, so to speak, and do your searching, and even create your own. You know what I'm saying? But Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say it's true because it's like what you were saying. If they're limiting your scope, it's like they want to keep you boxed in, and like they don't want you to see anything else that's out there. But at the same time, it's kind of done covertly because it's making you feel like you're being catered to, but in a sense you're being kind of like imprisoned, I would say, if you look at it that way.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, and that's what I said. Is like it's got to be a balance because, and that's why I say don't like be completely dependent on that one thing. You know, like. You know, be dependent on the Most High, kingdom of heaven's within you, you know, if you really want to break it down. But it's a good idea to keep a balance when you're providing this kind of service or catering to your end user. And that end user, they signed up for it. They consented. They say, yeah, sure, you can follow us, but you didn't actually describe it in your 10,000-word document, because you know 10,000-word document, when sent through a public school in which you have an investment interest in, will not actually benefit them to actually understand any of the legal jargon that you're saying in that 10,000-word contract that you're making, granting, conveying interest in.
Oh, definitely. People don't read. You don't have time to read that stuff, and you don't understand it.
But then you realize that they're not actually following you. They're following your person. Like, what's a person? Let's see. We could Google that too. But go ahead with what you were saying. I don't want to get on.
No, it's fine. No, basically, you're saying we're giving away a lot of our power too. We just have to realize basically the power that we have and how much are we willing to give away. Because also, we're talking about the NSA and how they're tracking us and how they're collecting all of our data and analyzing our person, so to speak. But at the same time, too, the internet has been very, very beneficial for people like you and me, for a lot of people. You know, people are able to run their businesses across the globe. People are connecting to kindred spirits across the globe, learning things, you know. What do you think about, I've heard people say, oh, you know, there's too much information on the internet. What are your thoughts on that?
What do you mean? There's always going to be more. It's going to be endless. Welcome to life. Whatever, however and wherever you want and what you want, it will be brought to you if you want it. Information, it's never going to end. There'll be truth. Yeah. There'll be fundamentals on structures, but dare I say, all themes are possible. Let me kind of do a sidetrack for you with now that we're saying, you know, governmental issues. There's this super psychic children in China, and one of these girls was studied by, I don't know the agency, but her eyes were closed or something. They were in a room testing her, and she said something, oh, I'm in space right now. And the scientist or whoever, you know, studying her said, probably laughing at themselves and at each other like, this girl is crazy. Oh yeah, we'll find this space station or this satellite, and here's the coordinates. Well, within like 5 or 10 minutes, she gave the model number of that satellite that was in space. This is real. Oh,
she was doing remote viewing, basically. Isn't that remote viewing? Yeah, no, I believe that's possible. There are people that do that kind of thing. But what do you? So you brought that up because you were just talking about like how we're dependent on technology, but there are also other things that are beyond our scope of technology, or
we are the technology. Most of the time, you need a camera in order to see each other on the other side of the world. With remote viewing, or I would say maybe going into another dimension, you didn't need the internet to see that. You didn't need that camera.
Yeah.
You didn't need a satellite to see that person on the other side of the world. You saw it with yourself. And that's what I'm saying. I mean, that's what people are deceived, and that's why I say find the balance. Get a, you know, learn what's going on.
Well, you know what? That's interesting you bring that up, because I often think about that too. It's like people. Well, first of all, we're kept ignorant of ourselves, and I study and I read stuff on remote viewing, and I've read stories like that, and I believe that stuff is possible. I had a friend, one of my really good friends in college, was deeply psychic, and he was able to tell me that to the point, like, he knew stuff that just nobody else knew. It's like, how could he know that? He told me one of my friends died like 5 minutes after she died, and I never told him anything about this person. I never had any pictures around of this person. There was no way he could have known about this person. But, you know, we're just sitting in the car, and we're just, he's like, I have to tell you something. Yeah, you know, and I was like, okay, and he told me. I was like, okay, you know, I was like, maybe, you know, we were partying a little bit that night. You know, I didn't really think anything of it until I got home. And as soon as I walked in the door, the phone rang, and my mom told me that this person had died. And I knew he knew some other stuff too, and it was just, I've had some experience. I know that there's something about the human spirit, the psyche, whoever we are, that we're not being told about. And one of the things about technology too, I find interesting, it seems like it's like superficial. You know what I mean? So you brought that up. You talk about the internet. Yeah, you have to find the balance. And the internet is like in the physical realm, but it's also it's a little bit superficial, and it's a way to control us. If we didn't have the internet, if we all knew how to remote view and knew how to do ESP, it's more personal and something that can't be controlled.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is where I come in.
Well, let's talk about that. We welcome that here. So don't feel, I'm not going to think you're crazy or weird or it's too far out there.
Because the thing, and I've learned it from other people and other videos, and I'm sure you have too. Like, when you know something, you don't believe it. You know what I mean? Like, you don't believe in English. You know it.
Yeah,
you know
I got you.
So if anyone was to say, oh, you're crazy, okay, man, you keep paying your taxes, you keep doing that somehow that we're gonna get you to wake up, so that way you're not like, I don't know if this is true, but from what I've heard with other investigators and TVs and who you've talked to, some of this tax money is going to hurt people, and I don't really like that. So we got to wake you up.
Well, I just interviewed somebody right before you. We were just talking about the fact that they're just people that I feel he felt too that don't want to wake up. Either A, they just feel like a lot of the problems and a lot of the horrible shit that's going on in the world is beyond their scope, and there's nothing they can do about it anyway. So why bother? Or they don't want to take responsibility for any of the stuff, that they're involved in, or they don't want to delve deep into these things because they don't want, to be called crazy by their friends and stuff. Because there are people that will probably listen to the show and come across other information, and they might even feel it deep, feel that what we're saying is true, but they have that fear because they're like, oh, wow, if I really go and I research this and I find out this is true and I have the evidence to bring my friends, I'm going to be an outcast because they're not going to, want to wake up. So,
well, I guess what I would
it's very interesting.
Research your vibration, your goals. Who are you outside of everybody else, and what do you want to do? And do you remember how you were brought up? And do you think that should play a factor on how you should move forward? And do you really think that if you had friends, if they were really your friends, they're just going to make fun of you all the time? I mean, I don't know, man. That sounds like people. It doesn't sound like friends.
Well, yeah, but it's hard. It's hard, because I've actually, I've lost a lot of friends over my beliefs. I lost a couple people at the time I thought were really close friends, but when I started bringing certain things up and talking about certain things, they were very quick to call me crazy instead of researching what I was talking about, and I felt like I would have done the same. I would have researched what they were talking about before I would call them crazy and cut them off,
Yeah, and
it's very painful. But you know what? That's just left more space for better people to come into my life. So it's not a big deal anymore. At the time, it was very painful, very confusing. But now I'm cool with it. So
yeah, that's really where individuals, or should I say beings, like you and myself come in, because I've been there too. And a lot of people, when you're in that situation, you wish you could relate or talk to somebody to say, what should I do? I'm going through this and blah, blah, blah. So
yeah,
it's like meant for a reason. And as far as what people should do with, I don't know what I can do, it's outside of my scope, it starts with you. Literally, literally. Close your eyes for 10 minutes. Visualize what you want. But can you even visualize for the same thing for more than 2 minutes without your brain going to the next spot? And then
it's very hard. But you
think I should really slow down and think.
Yeah. What about do you know anything about nanotechnology? I was looking up. I was doing a little research on nanotechnology, and I thought it was very interesting because they described it as being able to manipulate molecules on a microscopic level and telling these molecules to do things. And they're claiming that with advanced research and in nanotechnology that they'll be able to do things like cure cancer, and to the point where they can just tell they can create like technological cells and have those cells attack the cancer cell, but just the cancer cell. And I thought that was it was interesting, but I thought it was really also kind of creepy in a sense too, because a lot of the research that I've been doing, we do a lot of shows too on health. So a lot of research that we've been doing on health, the more I'm learning how sophisticated the human body is within itself, and how by doing things, if you eat the right herbs, if you meditate, or if you change your train of thought, how that can cure disease, and we don't really need all of this,
That's 100% true. I'll tell you, 4.5 years ago, I had messed up my ankle real bad, okay? And I went to the doctor, and the doctor said, you're going to be on your crutches probably for like 2 to 3 months. Just stay off of it. Now, during that time, I was coming to the light, I guess you could call it. Waking up to say, man, I got to be more responsible,
Yeah.
And while I was going through that, I was reading the Bible, I was praying, I was meditating, As far as the food and GMOs, I didn't know a damn thing about that. I didn't care about. I didn't know about it, so it didn't affect me. It was outside of my scope of thinking, so to speak, in that box, you could say. But I was able to get off the crutches in about 2 weeks.
So just through meditation, or I'm sorry, you said you.
No, the number one thing was believing it first. The doctor said, you're going to be on crutches for 2 to 3 months. All I heard was, oh, so I should be on probably a month or less. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And once I believed that, I said, well, what could happen? And sometimes I don't have to think too hard about it. I just instinctively do whatever brings me to the goal that I was seeking. I don't know how else to put that. And when I started realizing that was possible 4 years ago, I didn't really think about it too much. I was like, yes, the Bible's real, hooray, right?
Yeah.
I mean, those truths happened for me. It said, you believe, okay, get up and walk, you know? That story in the New Testament. And I was like, okay, well, I'll take it literally, right? I'm a new creation. And then it actually happened. And that's the part that made me start thinking, I got to start meditating. There's something to do with me. I'm not talking about the doctor or the medicine or the food or my girlfriends or the desires of my flesh. There's something within me. So, well, I was going to tie this in with the nanotechnology as well.
Go ahead.
I did research some nanotechnology, and I also heard that they were doing that with solar panels. But like I was saying is, none of this... Okay, hold on. How can I put it? None of this stuff is what we would want to call evil. I think it's been very disproportionately utilized. For crying out loud, we could probably have soldiers in space right now, or something to that effect, or doing like remote viewing instead of blowing stuff up. But you know, you're spending lots and lots of money on these technologies, but they're not being utilized the right way.
Yeah. Do you think it's ignorance, or do you think that people they're people too that get a hold of this technology and they become corrupted by their greed or their ethics because they feel that the world should be a certain way and they want to impose their views and their way of being on other people?
So, how bad does it have to get for people to wake the fuck up and be like, my life needs to change, or I need to do something? Sorry for the language, but...
It's okay. Oh, we curse on here.
Okay.
It's okay. But you know what? I feel too.
Yeah, like I'm thinking about cursing. If you say shh or it vibrates. It's a frequency with your organs. So when you express yourself, we got this pre-programming is shit. Oh my goodness, you shouldn't say that. Well, you know what I mean? There's a time and place for everything, and obviously you're around kids, and they watch this media because you're the parent who lets them watch this media, who lets them watch the commercials, who say the swear words, and they get this programming about the word shit, and you know that, hey, it's just part of, like, you expressing yourself, and that's the way it came out, but your kid doesn't. Well, now you got yourself in a bad situation, so you have to be careful on how you say it, but, yeah, there's nothing wrong with those words, as far as I know.
I'm just curious because I heard you mention the Bible, so I'm assuming you're a Christian?
If that's the label that the world wants to put on it, they can. But my father and I are one.
Okay, so do you like? No, because you know, I was talking about this the other day. We were talking about Christianity, and we were talking about like how you know, a lot of people. With the story of Jesus, a lot of people instill fear, and from what I understood, from the parts, I haven't read the whole Bible, from the parts I know about the Bible and the stories, he seems to have led such an incredible life, and it seems that there's so many people more so focused on his death than the life that he led. And when you were talking about like how you had that epiphany when you're talking about your ankle, and how you're talking about faith and how you felt that healed you in your belief, you know, do you think that I mean, what do you think about the fact that people or Christianity, from my experience, seems to focus more about the death and the suffering of Jesus as opposed to the life he led and teaching other people to be more like him. Because I feel like if he were to come back today, he would like flip out because people would have totally have missed his message.
I'm still researching all those, I guess, situations or stories.
Yeah.
That there's a divine purpose in every single aspect of your life, whether you call it, and not you, like I'm saying to the audience, whether people call it bad or good. I mean, how bad does it have to get in my life for me to find out that there's some KCV trust? You can discharge debt. The NSA wants U.S. citizens, but if you identify, I mean, make yourself the same or give them a name. What's the name? A word or speech found in which the thing is known. Well, you see what I'm saying? How bad does it have to get for me to realize there's a purpose to all of this and to wake us up? And then when you hear it, you just want to, like, do everything you can to get there. I think a lot of people are being led astray. And they're being led astray. I mean,
led astray from what? Just from your interpretation. There's no right or wrong, but led astray from what? From your point of view. Higher self, better.
I think that they say what they need to say, and those who have ears will hear, and those who have eyes will see. So,
but I mean, led astray to being down the wrong path, to self-destruction. Do you think that, going back to technology, do you think that technology is causing us to evolve or devolve or split?
A little bit of that. I think that they are being led astray by not being given the whole truth, full disclosure.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you guys, you're coming into my church. I first want to tell you you're reading an English Bible. It was actually started in Hebrew. Let's get to the history. Let's also get back to Egypt. You see what I mean? Like those little things.
Yeah. And even when you're translating,
love and be loved and give. You know what I'm saying? Of course. Yeah. Of course you want to say that. But if you're not given the fundamentals, the underlying principles, and the basis on how you should interpret what's actually being preached to you, well, then you're being led astray. You're given just enough where you needn't come back, but coming back to where you're going isn't any further than where you were because you weren't given the fundamentals of the principles that are being preached to you. Most people think, English is the language. That's the Bible, King James. That's the one. And yeah, it is. But you have to understand the history. Yeah. Well, even if you're translating something from one language to another, a lot gets lost just in the translation itself, and then also people's interpretations and taking it back years. And then, I saw this. I don't know how real it is, but I saw this documentary. I have to stop you because it's almost like I overspoke myself. At the same time, want to show people by me just like almost, how do I put it? Going against what I'm almost saying, but not. It starts with you and your intention and where you're at. Because when I came upon Christianity and actually wanted to learn about it, I didn't know about that there was a different language. Like I kind of thought, well, like this, we'll get into it. I'll learn about it in due time. But my life did progress and I did grow. You know what I'm saying? And from what I've read from other websites and other talk shows, it's also the Bible is a book of the regenerative process of our body. And you know what I'm saying? So all of this is very connected, and that's why I say every person that's hearing this and every person that needs guidance, they're going to get it. But just make sure you really seek it out, because this information that you're onto and I'm onto, it's the stuff, it's like, dare I say, manna from heaven. It's what we needed to know so we could go forward in life. And when we, heard things that didn't make sense, we would know truth so we could discern what was being said.
You know what kind of frustrates me is the fact that you were talking about what is it going to take for people to wake up. And then I made that comment earlier about people saying that, oh, there's too much information on the internet. But there are people that don't want to. I feel there's some that do, and there's some that don't know that they do, and then they come upon a tragedy or something that forces them to wake up, and then they realize that they want to do it. But there's some people that don't want to decipher and research and seek out information, but they want to be told everything because it's a huge responsibility too that I think some people don't want to take on, and that's what's maybe also causing people not to wake up, to the extent that they could be waking up.
I think a popular word that's going around is cognitive dissonance. The ability to see like what it is for what it is. But people will wake up. Them being and living, they'll wake up. Like, all these people, like, that probably know more information than you and I about the NSA and what's going on with the Vatican and, parts of our organs and our thoughts. I'm sure they know what's going on too, and that's probably why they're scared, because now they realize that we're waking up. And that's the cool part about it. Like, people who don't want to wake up, it's like you're going to be like a slave, man. Shit. You don't want to be, because you say all day, yeah, I'm free. I want to be free. You say that. But then when, you hear these talk shows, you kind of like, it's too much. Of course, it is a little too much. That's why people are freaking out in different places, because it is a lot. A kind of a helpful hint, though, for everybody who has friends that aren't completely awake is to show them, like, little videos, like the benefits of cannabis, and just to ease their minds into, like, that belief state of being.
Do you have friends? Do you associate yourself with friends who are awake?
Both.
Is everybody okay? Both, yeah, yeah.
I got a whole family that's probably asleep, except maybe two. I'm serious.
I'm laughing because I can relate.
Yeah, of course. It's like, what the? I'm trying to tell y'all something. Oh, well, you did this, or we don't believe you. We're too busy. This is what the news says. This learned. We have a car. We have this. Okay, fine. Just you get it from somewhere else.
Yeah, and you said we're too busy, but another thing too, one of the cons of technology is the distraction. Too. It's a lot of I feel like it's distracting people in some ways too. It's very you're saying there's a lot of information out there, but it's very you go on Facebook and stuff, all these like games and
the reason that it's distracting. The reason that it's overwhelming, okay, is because everything is connected, okay, from the cosmos to the stars to your heartbeat, to the foods you consume, the waters that you drink, as well as the knowledge that you can retain, as well as the information that you read. Well, when you consume bad foods and when you listen to music that has maybe the wrong frequencies and you're not, have a discernible mind, I guess, to realize what you're listening to, it can deceive you and put you into a trance to lower your energy. So when you get on your computer, or you're still on it, of course, right, YouTube, you go to another site, and then you get distracted there, and like you were saying earlier, it's psychology, and this is like the stuff that everybody would this is the stuff that's like, wake you up. Even all the officials, that's the cool part of it. Everyone's like, well, I work for this corporation. Man, you can discharge that debt because they got your ass bind up too. You can. Yeah. It's true though. Isn't it true? Yeah. You know what I mean? I was about to go into like this crazy contract mode. I did that with some of my friends last week, or no, a couple of weeks ago. And they're like, oh, I got to learn that stuff. I got to learn that. I'm like, it takes time. It's nothing. It's not like you're just going to rip someone's head off. It's not about all that, It's like, it's such a more meaningful purpose and divinity to all of this. But at the same time, when it's going on for 10 years, 50, 1,000, 2,000 years. Come on now, there's some type of thing that we got to change. And you can't be somebody who is allowing this to be going on and have a corporation that says, we're going to make sure everybody's healthy. So we're going to spend 90% of it on technology, which actually doesn't give them any fucking food at all.
Yeah,
or any vitamins, or any
yeah, it's true. God forbid. Yeah, God forbid if they shit. Oh, totally. God forbid if the shit hits the fan, you can't eat your computer, you know?
Oh, and that's what they want, though. They want you to be so dependent and so brain dead that you don't actually know that you have the ability. Well, what was her name? Laura Eisenhower. She said, a couple years ago, I was able to manifest vegetables or plants from the ground with her hands. That stuff is real. I know it's real.
What's her name? Laura Eisenhower?
Yeah, okay. She's very well researched. But I know I sent you that video. You remember seeing that video?
I'll have to look at it again. But I wrote it down. I took notes. But you know, it's interesting too because it's so funny that I see these TED Talks and I see videos and how we're technologically advancing, but in a lot of ways I feel like we're devolving because we're a computer. Our body is a computer itself, a really, really sophisticated computer.
In the most spiritual and divine way, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But they want to do something totally like crazy as far as I can.
Well, it's for me though. It's more to me. I'm kind of. This is the opinion I'm forming. I feel like it's a form of control, right? Even with the nanotechnology, what I was saying was really creepy because they're telling these things what to do. Whereas if you put the right nutrients in your body, you exercise, you meditate, whatever, your body already knows how to heal itself.
Yeah.
But if you're using certain surgical procedures and nanotechnology and things like that, it's like you're still dependent on somebody for your health, you know, as opposed to taking charge of your health. And the same thing, if people learn how to remote view or to speak to what do you call it, telepathy?
Yeah.
But via telepathy, we wouldn't need the internet. We wouldn't need all of this stuff, you know. So I mean, there's that whole other flip side too. It's like, you know, science versus spirituality. You know, the science is causing us to devolve rather than evolve. But there's some people that are cool with that. There's some people that like you know, that are turned on by transhumanism, and that's okay with them, I guess. You know, it's not okay with me. But
yeah, I know what you're saying. That is some very deep stuff that people don't realize that's been planning for way before 2000, way before 1980.
Yeah.
You don't think that they knew that you could communicate like 1,000 years ago without like a computer? That's why all of this stuff is like so deep, and that's why people get overwhelmed. And that's why I say, well, it starts with you, and like, where do you want? Make a list, write it out, learn about your body, the chakras, DNA activation, the right music, like you said, the right foods.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I've seen the right foods make a difference in my life because I'm asthmatic, and when I notice when I take certain things out and I eat certain things, I don't have to use my inhaler. I don't have allergies as bad. So yeah, I mean it's so simple. It's hard. I think a lot of people too don't believe how simple it is to be healthy or to be, you know, to be to become healthy. I'll just put it that way. As far as to be healthy, they think that you have to, you know, do a lot of surgical procedures and take medicine that actually in turn gives you more side effects and makes you unhealthier in the end, you know?
Right. Do you want to know what is exciting for everybody?
Yes, please. I'm gonna wrap up, and I want to know
exciting
on a good note.
Wonderful news and information and knowledge about the chakras and the stars and the planets and about GMOs and non-GMOs and how discharging of dead and all crimes are commercial and all of this. It's like, you don't have to worry. They want you to worry. They want you to, oh no, like, this other battle happens. No. That's what the people who deceive you want. If your energy is lowered, or if you feel like dumber, or you feel like you just like got effed over, those are the people you should like not like stay like be around all the time. Be around those people that want to bring you up, that want to motivate you. Because there's meetups, there's groups. I mean, for crying out loud, there's over 1 million pages about positivity that know about frequencies and light and vibration and how this technology, it's a tool. You don't have to look at it like, oh my God, yeah. You want to look at it like that, which changes your perception, which changes your vibration, which changes your energy, which then changes what you're going to do next.
It's true. It's true.
Times though, this really is.
But I think it's a muscle you have to work at too, because we're so used to worrying and so used to being in fear. I feel like I'm not perfect at it. I still have days, where I get down, and I'm not saying that everything is all like roses and candy, but you have to, in every situation you face, you have to figure out how you're going to deal with it. There's always a choice. Are you gonna let it drag you down, or are you going to take it as a chance to learn from it and grow? And I'm not saying people don't get sad or shitty stuff doesn't happen, that people don't die or, become crazy or whatever. I mean, whatever horrible thing that you face in your life. But it's like there's always choice, I feel. And the better choice is always to try and, are you familiar with the concept of the emotional guidance skill?
You mean EFT?
No, that's emotional freedom technique. So emotional guidance skill. Where like say lowest is a 10 and highest is a 1. So 10, it's like you're suicidal, you're depressed, you're in hopelessness. But then you want to make it up to a 9. So maybe instead of staying there, you want to climb your way back up. So follow your thoughts, and what's a better thought? Maybe somebody did something to you, right? And you're really pissed, or you're depressed, or So maybe you go up one notch to revenge. Or revenge is a better thought than being stuck in hopelessness and powerlessness. But you don't want to stay in revenge either, because that's not really good. But slowly, when you're going up the scale, you start building your emotions to by the time you get to a 1, you're building your way up to a more positive vibration. And then when you're in that vibration, more positive things start coming into your life.
Wow.
You're right, when you're like on a lower vibration, you start bringing bad shit. It's like that day that you wake up and you get out of bed, you stub your toe, you burn the breakfast, you get into a car accident, like everything. But you know what I mean? When you keep drawing that stuff. And I remember being like that, when I was younger. It's like when it rained, it poured. I remember one day I got into 2 accidents, and I got kicked out of my house, like where I was living, like on the same day, But I would worry a lot, and I would be in fear a lot. I would be afraid of things and worry about things a lot. And now I'm not like that anymore, and now my life isn't near the type of life that I was living, if that makes sense.
I know what you're saying. I mean, as far as myself, I'm still building and self-developing and self daily. Like,
and we all are.
They'll say, he's researching and thinking and studying and typing. But with all the power though, and all the knowledge though, I like to encourage other people to know that whatever you're going through, it's meant for a reason. And that's the same thing with me being on this call or whatever, in my situations in my life, because I'm just, growing. I'm looking to better myself, and I think everyone is too. And some of these things that do come up, you're going to get through them. I know I'm going to get through them. It's just, like you said earlier, it just sometimes, sucks when you're in that shitty situation.
Yeah.
And trust me, I hate those. I was like, damn, this happened to me just 2 days ago, alright? I walked about 20 miles, okay, to my other friend's place. And I work out every week, you know, getting 5-mile runs and jogs in. And I went over to his place, and I said, I don't have my cell phone, and I'm just going to be there at this time. Well, I clicked on his little door, you know, number, and it didn't work. I was outside sweating for about an hour and a half, and I was pissed, okay? Because I was gonna get...
Because you walked too many fucking miles.
Well, and I was there because I was getting, you know, some cannabis with him. And I was, like, pissed off, and I was, like, trying to meditate, and I was like, why am I going through this? And I finally just kind of changed my frequency and say, what could I do? Obviously, this dude's here. And I went I first got up I was sitting next to some mailboxes. I went to the door, and I figured someone will let me in or someone will come out. I don't know. As soon as I got up, someone was walking back to their apartment with his bike and held the door for me and just said, is this you live here or a friend? I said, it's a friend, that's all. You know? But, I mean, I know it's not like an extreme situation, but when you walk 20 fucking miles and it's already 95 degrees outside and you're, like, excited to hang out with some brothers and enjoy some cannabis, you kind of get pissed off.
Yeah. It puts you in a bad vibration.
Yeah. But as soon as I realized, like, dude, I've been pissed off, like, within the first 20 minutes. I'm still pissed off. Let me sit down.
You let it go. And then he let you in.
And then I was like, wait a second. I'm just going to wait at the door. Someone will let me in. If not, the next person will. I'm already sweaty.
Yeah. No.
As soon as I got up, someone was there, and he let me in. No, like, bad looks, or, you know, like, who are you kind of look. None of that.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. Yeah, it seems like a lot of situations, I know people that are listening can probably relate, even if it's minute or whatever, if you're kind of like holding on to something, you're in that vibration, you're really angry or you're pissed, but as soon as you kind of like let it go, it like doors open in so many different ways. And literally for you, the door opens, you know. You know, literally. So we got to start wrapping up here. But the thing is, really, you're saying so. You don't think people should be afraid of the internet and start living off the grid and build houses and stuff like that. You think it's a balance, and people the real strength is finding yourself within, right? To sum up.
Well, yeah. In a nutshell, I mean, everybody's growing, everybody's learning. I'm progressing myself and learning and doing all that I can on my end, but you don't look at the technology as something like evil or something like that. I mean, is it the technology? I mean, you don't look at your, I don't know what example to think of right now, your coffee...
Well, money. Money.
Go ahead, what are you saying?
I'm sorry. You said your coffee machine. Go on.
Oh, yeah, well, you don't look at your coffee machine and be like, this might be a bad analogy, all right, you guys, but you don't look at your coffee machine and be like, that gives me, that's a really bad example, I'm sorry. Take that.
Well, this is your coffee machine.
Don't look at your computer and all this technology is something evil. Learn what the fuck you're getting into and what this technology is about. Realize that you are the technology outside of this computer. Why do you think they want to study you? Because they want to snapshot your optic thalamus and your retinal and take images of you so that and what you can see and visualize, because you are the power. You're the one who funnels this life called Earth and all the other cosmos around it.
Got you. True. No, I totally dig that. I vibe with that. Yeah, it's true. And that at the end of the day, that's the thing that makes me feel better, because if you can get overwhelmed and thinking about all of the technology and how much it can do, but you fail to realize how advanced you are as a person, and that's at the end of the day, that's the thing that keeps me going and gives me hope. So anyway, could you please tell everybody where we can where your blog is and anything else you would like to promote?
Oh yeah, definitely. Everybody check out localmarket.us. Again, that's localmarket.us. There's a lot of PDFs that I've found and books that I recommend, some self-salts as well as videos and chakra meditation that website has. I'll build more upon it as I have time. Another website would be jordanesky.net. That's JORDANESKE.net. And for all of my cannabis friends, check out www.theherbalguys.com.
Okay, cool. Really nice meeting you, Jordan. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back with our extra. All right? See you then.
I was on holiday with Sir Lawrence Olivier. We had decided that 9/11 was an intelligence operation. We'd all known about JFK. He had so many mistresses. The CIA shot him. Castro could never have done it. It was clear. We had become realists, conspiracy realists. How would we let everyone know was the question. We decided to buy T-shirts that told the contents of our hearts and minds to the world. We went to shop.truthertees.com. Even though the internet hadn't been invented at the time, we went to shop.truthertees.com. There we purchased Conspiracy Realist T-shirts, one of a kind, sold only at shop.truthertees.com. 100% cotton in men's and women's fitted sizes. I won't tell you which one I'm wearing.
Hey, welcome back. Thanks for listening to Truther Talk. You can find our website at truthertalk.com. Hey, Virstyne.
Hey, April.
So you were Han Solo. You interviewed Liam Skeef, at the top of the hour, or the beginning of the show, and you guys talked about, he kind of went into his whole soliloquy and everything about peak oil and all that stuff that's going on in the world, and then you interviewed Jordan Eske about technology. We aren't robots. I played at the top of the hour the Flight of the Conchords. That was Flight of the Conchords at the top of the hour. We aren't robots. So, yeah. So, there's a lot of pros and cons to technology, as we talked about with both these guys. I recently saw the documentary called Surviving Progress. Have you seen that?
No, what is it about?
It's about technology, and I didn't watch, I kind of like half watched it, to be honest, folks. I was kind of doing other things, and it was on. But one of the things that they said was that technology, like, to a certain extent is good. Like, you get to a certain place where you learn how to use a tool. And they were talking about, like, early man, and basically early man, like, they got to a place where they learned how to use weapons to kill animals for them to eat. And then, that was fine, but then they had to, like, take it further and, like, herd them in cattle and, like, do more and more and more and more. And the more that it just started to hurt man, so it was like they had it there's like a plateau, basically, where it's fine, it's good, and you actually are improving mankind. And then after a certain level, you're on the downward spiral. So
you start developing, technology faster than you, and then you get to a point where ethics aren't really put into consideration, and also sensitivity to other people and other things, and then the environment, and that's where it gets bad. Like all of the great things computers can do, but then we have all of this EMF, like pollution, and and we're so addicted to it, we're so dependent on it to survive that it's hard to stop. We can't just, like, if you want to survive, you can't really now survive nowadays without a computer. I'm getting by without a smartphone, but I don't know how long I'm going to be able to do that anymore. And my kids tell me, they're like, you need to get a smartphone. Like, I'm so uncool because I don't have, the kids I teach, I shouldn't say my kids, my students, they tell me, you need to get a smartphone because I still have a flip phone, and they think I'm just so, like, back in like something's wrong with me because I have a flip phone. And
I always tell people I don't have a smartphone. My son's moderately intelligent. Very moderately intelligent.
Yeah.
Not extremely intelligent, not too stupid, but, because anything, a cell phone in and of itself is smart, and even the very prehistoric ones, those big, fat, giant ones. But they're dangerous, and there's quite a lot of proof and evidence that they've caused cancers and other kinds of health problems. So,
and they're messing with other animals too,
Oh, sure, yeah, the EMF.
Yeah, so I mean,
these radio waves and all these things that are, we're looking to do a show, we talk about EMFs a lot, and we're looking to have someone come on in the future and talk a little bit more about it, and have and maybe offer some solutions on how people can protect against them.
Yeah, if you're listening and you know somebody, please recommend somebody for us, because we're actually...
Well, I think we have someone coming up in the future.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just going to throw that out there, fellas.
Okay.
Lady, gals, and goons. That I think we do have someone that's going to come on and talk about it, and she is knowledgeable, but that might be for a couple weeks away. But she's pretty knowledgeable, and she also has some solution ideas of how you can naturally protect yourself. So that's what we want. That's what we're all about. And we want to thank you guys all for listening. We're going to head out. Show went a little long today, and we once again thank you for listening. You can find us at Truth or Talk. Thank Liam Sheff. Thank Jordan Esky. With peace, truth, and love.
Peace, truth, and love you guys. Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, the very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society, and we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it. Even today, there is little value in opposing the threat of a closed society by imitating its arbitrary restrictions. Even today, there is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it. And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. That I do not intend to permit to the extent that it's in my control. And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed. No president should fear public scrutiny of his program, for from that scrutiny comes understanding, and from that understanding comes support or opposition, and both are necessary. I am not asking your newspapers to support an administration, but I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people. For I have complete confidence in the response and dedication of our citizens whenever they are fully informed. I not only could not stifle controversy among your readers, I welcome it. This administration intends to be candid about its errors. For as a wise man once said, an error doesn't become a mistake until you refuse to correct it. We intend to accept full responsibility for our errors, and we expect you to point them out when we miss them. Without debate, Without criticism, no administration and no country can succeed, and no republic can survive. That is why the Athenian lawmaker Solon decreed it a crime for any citizen to shrink from controversy. And that is why our press was protected by the First Amendment, the only business in America specifically protected by the Constitution, not primarily to amuse and entertain, not to emphasize the trivial and the sentimental, not to simply give the public what it wants, but to inform, to arouse, to reflect, to state our dangers and our opportunities, to indicate our crises and our choices, to lead, mold, educate, and sometimes even anger public opinion.
This is Ozzy Skateboard, and you're listening to UCY.TV.